Hey brother! Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times. Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945. Geez, spoilers much, chocolate frog cards? Seriously, J.K. Rowling? In the first half of the first book, you're gonna give us spoilers for something that's still 7 more books, 8 movies, and then 5 more movies away? This is actually just a challenge that all prequels of any kind face at all times. We, the audience, know where the story is going the whole time, but the writers still have to find ways to keep it interesting all throughout. And with Fantastic Beasts as an example, we've known the grand conclusion of the story basically since Harry got on the train to Hogwarts for the first time. So yes, we know that eventually Dumbledore is going to defeat Grindelwald, but the thing that we have to figure out right now is how is he going to do it? Because presently standing in his way is 2 pretty big challenges. The first being the Blood Pact and the other the Elder Wand. Like, how are you supposed to beat an unbeatable wand in a fight that you're not even allowed to have? Today, we find out. Guys, over on our Patreon, we've just started doing something kind of fun. Every time a new patron at any level signs up, we will be sending you a Bonjoro. And a Bonjoro is a personalized video message from Jay and I to you. Also, for all existing patrons, we're going through a huge backlog, so be expecting one yourself. But Jay, the entirety of the wizarding world has always made quite the fuss about 2 particular forms of magic with extraordinary power. The first of those would be the Deathly Hallows, especially the Elder Wand. It is described as the almighty of almighty wands, the wand that can't be defeated, the Death Stick. We're told that it's actually sentient. It is able to determine its true master, and it is capable of performing magic hitherto unheard of. But with the exception of Harry repairing his old wand, which is magic we know that other wands are incapable of doing, we never really see it do anything. Voldemort is never truly the master of the wand, so in the movies, when they show us this crazy moment where he's summoning all sorts of lightning, that is merely normal lightning, not extraordinary lightning. And the way that you can tell is because, well, we know he was never the master of the Elder Wand. But on top of that, Dumbledore's ownership and mastery of the Elder Wand kind of revolves around the idea that he never specifically uses these powers. He says, "I was fit to own the Elder Wand and not to boast of it and not to kill with it. I was permitted to tame and use it because I took it, not for gain, but to save others from it." The point is, even though we've never actually truly seen this wand in action, it is incredibly important to the story. And supposedly unbeatable, which makes no sense because it changes hands constantly. But moving on to the other source of magic that is immensely powerful and just the overarching theme of the story.
Love, Harry. Love.
Love is extremely important and powerful in the world of Harry Potter. The most obvious example, of course, is Lily's sacrifice and love for Harry, which allowed him to be the only person ever to survive the Killing Curse and fundamentally set up the rest of the plot altogether. Harry makes a similar sacrifice in Deathly Hallows when Voldemort kills him, where Harry's own death actually even casts protection over the defenders of Hogwarts and ultimately gives them the edge to win the battle. But it's not just that Harry and his friends have the ability to love, it's also the fact that the emotionless bald shell that is Voldemort doesn't. He just can't understand it, and it continuously upends him over and over again. In Goblet of Fire, he even reveals that he was totally aware of the protection that his mother's love gave him. He says, "His mother left upon him the traces of her sacrifice. This is old magic. I should have remembered it. I was foolish to overlook it." Like, how ridiculous is that? Like, he was aware of it and forgot? I'm actually kind of surprised none of the Death Eaters were like, "Wait, you knew?" Fast forward 3 books later and he's still learned nothing at all, where it's Narcissa who pulls it on him. It's her love for her son who leads her to lie to Voldemort.
Dead.
But also, it's not always magical love that brought about Voldemort's demise. Snape's love for Lily is what brought him back as a double agent for Dumbledore. And if you think about it, it's the actual absence of love that originally created Voldemort in a weird way when Merope used a love potion on Tom Riddle Sr. So it's no surprise to me at all that in the final battle between Voldemort and Harry, these two ideas come up in tandem with one another. Voldemort says, "You must believe that you have magic that I do not, or else a weapon more powerful than mine." And Harry says, "I believe both." So we've come full circle. The weapon, of course, is the Elder Wand, and the magic, of course, is love. That brings about a really interesting question as we come back to Dumbledore and Grindelwald. We know we have these two immensely magically powerful ideas, but which one would triumph over the other? There are a few caveats. Unlike in Harry's situation, this time the villain is actually the master of the Elder Wand. And the love in question is actually between the two duelists, which is then complicated even a little bit further because of the Blood Pact. From one perspective, it would look like Grindelwald has done a really, really good job protecting himself from Dumbledore. He may be a shade less talented than Dumbledore, but he has a wand that can't be beat and a pact that prevents them from fighting at all. And this is where I think things can get kind of interesting. In a recent video, we broke down the function, origin, and meaning behind Grindelwald's skull hookah thing. You can check out the full video by clicking the card, but the short version is that going into the movie, J.K. Rowling revealed that Grindelwald is in fact a seer, and uses that power, or else had a vision of Dumbledore writing the letter that we would later see in the Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore book, where he invents the phrase, "for the greater good." And the reason why the skull is relevant at all to any of this is because that letter and the phrase being invented for the greater good happens in the summer of 1899. The skull, however, reads in German the phrase "for the greater good" 1898, leading us to believe that he started using that phrase 1 year before Dumbledore ever invented it. From there, we believe that Grindelwald took steps to ensure that these very events would take place, including the creation of the Blood Pact, thus protecting himself from the other most powerful wizard in the world. Or so he thought. By the end of Crimes of Grindelwald, it's starting to look like he's putting together a pretty good following. The Ministry of Magic is already worried about him, and Dumbledore wants to face him, but
I can't.
Newt figures out the Blood Pact and asks Dumbledore whether or not he can destroy it. Here's the issue though. All of that happens in 1927, and we know that the duel is not going to happen until 1945, which means no, he cannot destroy it. Because I don't see any situation where he is successful in destroying it and doesn't immediately go and confront Grindelwald. The other odd thing is that despite the Blood Pact's existence at all, we know they've already fought before, the famous duel between him, Grindelwald, and Aberforth. And there it is, because we all know what happened in that duel. Dumbledore's younger sister, Ariana, died. Dumbledore tried to fight despite the Blood Pact before, and his younger sister died, and now he's terrified to do it again. What might happen next time? Who else might die? Ultimately though, I don't think the Blood Pact had anything to do with her death. I think that Dumbledore just tells himself that because he feels immensely guilty about it. The important thing is though, they did fight, and supposedly the Blood Pact would prevent that from happening. How is that the case? We think it's because of Grindelwald's vision, because the Blood Pact was formed without true love from both sides. Grindelwald manipulated the entire situation into happening without ever actually loving Dumbledore. The thing is, Dumbledore actually loved him.
Oh, we were closer than brothers.
Again, going back to Dumbledore's letter to Grindelwald, it says, "This was your mistake at Durmstrang, but I do not complain because if you had not been expelled, we never would have met." If Grindelwald had a vision of this letter, it's a roadmap directly to where he goes. He knows he has to be thrown out of Durmstrang. He knows he has to go and find the other most talented wizard in the world at that time and protect himself from him. Which brings me back to my theory. The Blood Pact is only working in one direction. It's not protecting Grindelwald from Dumbledore, but the other way around. The Blood Pact is effectively useless. The only actual thing that's stopping Dumbledore from attacking Grindelwald is basically his fear of repeating what happened to Ariana. After 18 more years of attempting to destroy this thing and being unable to, I believe that eventually he's just going to go and try. And this is where the ultimate overarching theme of the whole story will aid Dumbledore again. The love he put into the Blood Pact will protect him from Grindelwald, and more importantly, the Elder Wand, allowing Dumbledore to not only win, but become master of the Elder Wand and further reassure him that no matter what else is out there, love will conquer all. I mean, let's face it, using love as a weapon is not very Harry Potter, but having love protect you from somebody who manipulated it is. It's even kind of reminiscent of Voldemort and how he was created. Merope forced Tom Riddle to love her, and Grindelwald tricked Dumbledore into loving him. Voldemort couldn't understand love, and the Blood Pact isn't going to protect Grindelwald, and that is how I believe Dumbledore will defeat him and overcome the Blood Pact. But guys, for my question of the day, what do you think? Will the Blood Pact ever be destroyed? Did Grindelwald ever actually love Dumbledore? Be sure to leave all of your thoughts in the towel section down below. Also guys, don't forget, over on Patreon, at any reward level right now, if you sign up, you will be receiving a personalized video message from Jay and I to you. So be sure to go check it out at the link in the description down below or patreon.com/SuperCarlinBrothers. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to watch that full video on Grindelwald's skull explained, you can click right here. Or if you would like to figure out how Credence and Dumbledore's relationship works, you can check out our Dark Twin theory right here. But Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.